Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your course marshal Drew. We're just in time for another lesson of the Beginner Racer series. Today, let's talk about the most crucial part of being a beginner, the course. This is where mistakes made can easily turn into penalties, crashes, and possible injuries. For me, personally, as a course marshal, I highly prefer not to see any of these things happen. So, we're here to cover that subject so that you, as a rider, can more confidently come to an event and know that you'll understand the layout of the course provided to prevent mistakes and do the best that you can. But keep in mind, no course will be the same, so you'll need to adapt to each event that you attend. Now, before we actually get to the course, there are some essentials that you'll need to know, like what the colors of the buoys mean, or what is a split and how do I navigate one? What does inside and outside mean? If I missed a buoy while I was racing, can I make that up? And so much more. So, without further ado, let's go to school. So during the video, you're going to hear me reference some of these terms several times. So before we get into it, I'm going to explain these to you so you can understand what I mean. So first we have what is known as a cutback turn. Now this is a single buoy turn where your direction is changed at that specific buoy. Now it doesn't necessarily need to be a 90-degree turn like what you see here. It could be the slightest bump to change your direction ever so slightly, or a hairpin turn where you have to slow down drastically to make the turn and continue through the course. Aside from the splits, majority of the course is going to be cutbacks. You'll have your sweeps here or there, but most of the time you're going to be turning on a single buoy. Now, next we have what's known as the sweeps. Now, a sweep, unlike a cutback turn, consists of two or more buoys in succession that create an arc ranging in size, and that's why it's a sweep, because you're sweeping it like an arc. Now, the more buoys there are in succession, the bigger the sweep will get. So when you have 3 or 4 buoys, your sweeps are going to get a little bit longer and bigger. Now, when it comes to double buoys though, and what I mean is 2 buoys in succession like the picture on the left here, might not always be a sweep. And I have the perfect diagram to show this to you so that you can understand what I mean. So be sure to pay attention to your course diagrams so that you can understand what's going on here. Now what we're looking at is this right here, this double yellow and this double red. Now as you can see here, the double red is clearly a sweep, and then you have this double yellow up at the top. Now as you can see, that's not a sweep. You go from a hairpin into a turn. Now, just be sure to always keep an eye on your course diagram so you know what you're dealing with. Simple as that. So now, let's get into our start sweeps. Our start sweeps are always, so you have your 2 sweeps, okay? You have your outside sweep and your inside sweep. Now your inside sweep is white buoys, and they will always be white buoys. Now your outside sweep can change in regards to the direction of the course. So for a left-handed start, which you see right here, you have red buoys, and then for your outside sweep you have yellow buoys. Now, always keep in mind, the start sweeps will always have 4 buoys. They're always going to be 4 buoys in length. Ah, yes, the buoys. What do they mean? Well, we'll start off with buoy colors because, well, you wouldn't be able to navigate the course if you didn't know these. To begin, you have your directional colors as you see here, which are red and yellow. Now, red indicates a left turn and yellow indicates a right turn. So if you notice, to correctly make a proper turn you need to approach the buoy from the opposite side. So, for example, if you want to make a left turn at a red buoy, you need to approach the buoy from the right side and turn left around it. And, vice versa for a yellow buoy. So, just keep in mind, you're always going to go around the opposite side of the buoy to make your proper turn. So, now let's get into our split colors. Most promoters have adopted individual colors to designate a split lane. In most cases, you'll see blue buoys for the outside split or green buoys for the inside split. But also keep in mind that not all promoters are the same. So you might see different colors representing the lanes like this. I know some promoters use orange to represent the inside lane, but it doesn't matter what the colors are. It's just most promoters are adopting a single color for the lane, so you'll need to get used to that. Now, as far as navigating the splits, we'll get to that in a little bit, but as you can see here in this image, both the inside and the outside splits is just essentially one big zigzag. That's all it is a zigzag. So now let's get into another set of buoys here, and that's going to be your white buoys. Now, white buoys are kind of confusing for beginners because they tend to not realize the premise of the white buoys. Now, the white buoys have a couple uses. However, their primary use is to create a sweep for the inside lane for the start. So as you can see here in this image, they're the 4 white buoys. That is your inside sweep for the inside start. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter if the course is a left-handed course or right-handed course. As you can see via the images here, the inside split is always going to be white, and it's going to be 4 buoys in total. Now let's get on to your next important one here, and that is your makeup buoy. We're going to talk about this one. So let's go back to the question of what if I miss a buoy? Can I make that up? Yes, this is the buoy that you're going to do that with. This particular buoy is usually located at the end of the outside split, set out a distance from the last buoy in the outside, and it's generally a color that's different from the buoys around it so that it would be easily distinguishable. So if you need to make up a buoy, this is going to be the one you do it at, and always remember to take the outside lane so that you can get to it. So this next buoy is going to be just as important because it tells you that you're approaching the splits and you need to make your decision whether you need to take the inside or the outside. So the decision buoy is always the last buoy in the outside sweep, and it's usually always marked with 2 buoys that are attached together. So as you see in this diagram right here, there is a red buoy and a white buoy that are attached. Now that is to signify that you are at the decision buoy, and this is where you need to decide if you want to take the inside or the outside colors. So we'll touch base a little bit more here on that in a second. This one's going to be a little bit odd, but we need to address it so that you understand its purpose and how it affects you. And that's going to be the merge buoy. So the merge buoy is this little guy right here, little long white thingy in between the splits. And it's also known as a hot dog or a sausage. Now, these buoys serve a couple purposes. Primarily, their function is what's known as a merge lane. The merge lane is the point to where the inside lane and the outside lane merge back together to create a single lane. Now, another purpose of this is for protection for the outside lane. So as you can see, the green buoys here in this diagram are your inside lane. The blue buoy, or The green buoys are your inside, the blue buoys are your outside. So as you can see with how this course is, the people on the inside coming in the green buoy, if they overshoot that last green buoy, that could put whoever's on the outside in harm's way, because they could just fly right through and hit somebody. So this particular buoy has a double purpose. It's meant to create a lane for both lanes to safely merge back together into a single lane, and to protect racers from colliding when they come out of the splits. Now, another use that they use for one of these sausages or hot dogs, and I don't have a diagram up for it, is to prevent traffic from colliding at two different areas of the course. So say you have, you're a little limited on space, and let's just say, for instance, you got two separate lanes running. This lane is running this way, this lane is running this way. So you got two different lanes that are running. The merge is generally put down the center, so that you have to stay on those respective sides of the hot dog to maintain your lane through the course. Now, here's another odd one that promoters have been using, and it's another one that I don't have a diagram for, but it's kind of self-explanatory, and you don't really need a diagram for this one. And this is the Joker buoy. So this buoy is meant to add some flavor to the race, and that's pretty much it. So the Joker buoy is usually placed a considerable distance outside the course, and each rider is required to hit this buoy at least one time during their race. Now, of course, that number can be determined by the race director. It could be 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter. You got to hit it every other lap. I mean, it all comes down to what the promoter is thinking. So last and certainly not least, you can't finish the race without crossing through the checkers. So, and there's always two of those, always positioned right in front of the scoring tower, so that as soon as you cross through the checkered buoys, the flagger is right there throwing the checker down for you. Now let's cover one thing quickly before we continue into the course. The course itself has a designated direction for the start. So what this means is that after you leave the gate and proceed down the start stretch, you approach a sweep that either goes to the left or to the right. Now, another reason we're talking about the course direction is because the direction of the start dictates where the scoring tower is placed and the orientation of the starting gates. So real quick, let's take a look here. So like I said, you have your starts. You have your left-handed start right here, and then you have your right-handed start. And because of this, it changes the layout of the starting gate and all of that. So this is kind of general for part of the course diagram. So this is what the starting gate area will look like for a left-handed start. So when it comes to starts, so we'll use a left-handed start for example. If you have a left-handed start, as you can see via this diagram here, your scoring tower and your checkers are located to the left of your starting gate. Now with this, the gate closest to the tower is your inside lane, and the gate furthest from the tower is your outside. So it doesn't matter what orientation you make the course, your towers is usually always the same side as the start, and your gates are always going to swap in correlation to that. So left-handed start, inside gate is on the left, scoring towers on the right. Right-handed start, scoring towers on the right, starting inside gate is on the right. So just remember, it's always going to flip-flap back and forth depending on what way the direction is, unless you're in a situation where you're so tight on the beach that you can't do it in a proper traditional sense. So you got to put the gate, or not the gate, but the tower on the other side. It doesn't happen very often, but there are those few chances where it can occur. So as I've stated before, the start of the race is the most crucial and where vast majority of beginners often mess up the most. The start isn't just the riders taking off from the line. The start takes place from the minute the band snaps to when you cross through the checkered for the first time. Okay? So let's take a look back at the starting procedure for a brief moment, or we're going to recap that. However, we're going to switch to some racers' point of views, and I'm going to take you through an inside start and an outside start so you can understand what I'm talking about and see the differences between the two. So, like I said, we're going to do a little recap of our starts here. So, remember, you're on the line, you got your boat in the water, flagger whistles to fire up. If you're on a two-stroke, you're going to want to lift that back end up, clear your pump out, get it all nice, ready, primed, ready to shoot. Keep your eye on that flagger because he's going to be doing checks coming down the line, making sure you're all good. When he gets to you, make sure you give him a nod and let him know you're ready to race. And then as soon as he's done doing them checks, he's going to give you the card. 1, 2, flip it, and that's when the band's going to snap. And that's when you go. So real quick, we're going to continue through here. Yeah.
Racing Fuels at HPL. On the number 51 out of Miramar, Florida, David Cabrera. On the number 57 out of Blue Springs, Missouri.
Getting ready for the start. And there they go. Okay. So now we're going to switch over to some point of view and cover that right there. So, wrong one. We're going to go with this one right here. So this is going to be, we're going to start with the inside lane. So let's get him going. Now, as you can see, right as this racer came off the line, he's heading straight to the white buoys. Now, keep in mind, like I said earlier, the white sweeps are for the inside lane on the start. Now, as you can see, he was on the inside gate, and he's going straight for those white buoys right there. So let's continue. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, 4 buoys on the sweeps. Always remember to count 4. Now, real quick, before we continue on, let me make 2 pieces of information known. Remember them, never forget it. 1, the white sweep will always and only be used for the inside start. Okay, for the inside start. And 2, after the start, these buoys will never be used again during the race. So once you complete your start lap, forget about them. 100%. Never look at them again because they're not going to matter. All right. Now let's continue through the inside split here. Nice little battling going on. This is good. So for those of you that might be a little confused, I was talking about individual colored designated lanes earlier. So what you're seeing here is old footage. It's from a few years ago before this promoter adopted a single color lane. Now, not all promoters have adopted this. Like I said, most are. So if you come through a promoter that isn't doing solid color lanes, just remember it's gonna run by your directional colors. So they'll probably use your red and yellows in the splits. So remember to go back, learn your directionals. Red is left, yellow is right in some promoters still use this in the splits as well, which is what you're seeing here in the footage. Please keep in mind this footage is a little outdated, but it serves its purpose for what I need it for. Now, as you can tell, and as we're going, it's a big back and forth. So real quick, that's blurry right here. As you can see right here, perfect example, almost center of the footage, you have the merge buoy. Now that is, like I said, that is two purposes. It's protection and direction. It protects the outside line from the inside line so that there's no chance of accidents there. And it also creates a line to where the two lanes can come back together. Now, I'm gonna continue this video, and as I do, within the next couple seconds, you're gonna see two riders from the outside merge with the rider in front right here. So let's continue. Now, as you can see, there they go, and there are the other two riders that merged in. And that is a purpose of the merge lines, so that the two lanes can come together safely and continue on through the rest of the course. Now let's look at an outside so you can see the difference between the outside start and the inside start. As you can see, he gets the check, the nod, he turns back, band snaps. Look at that, he's looking right at it when the band snapped. Now, like I said, this is an outside right-handed start, so yellow on the sweeps. So as you see, 1, 2, 3, and then you get to that fourth one right there, and I can see it from here. There's a red and a yellow right here. Like I said, it's not always yellow or white as the secondary color. We use it to make it stand out so you know what buoy is your decision buoy. And that's just what it is. Now, before I continue, let me discuss one thing for your outside start. So, in difference to your inside start, your outside start will skip a buoy. I know it's confusing, but there's a reason for it. And to put it simply, it's for timing. Now, we aim to make the splits as perfectly, equally timed as possible. And that's just the way it is. So to make the start even, we have to make the outside lane shorter because it's so much bigger to have to go around the outside or to go around the inside lane. So we have to make it smaller. And to do that, we make it to where you skip one buoy on the start and only the start. And that kind of equalizes when everybody comes out of the lane. Like in the last clip that we just saw, the 3 riders, 2 from the outside and 1 from the inside, they merged almost perfectly timed. Now, the 2 that were on the outside had skipped the first buoy in sequence. So as we get past this decision buoy here on this clip, you'll notice that they're going to skip a buoy and just continue straight to the next buoy, and then they start to go into, like, so as you see, they skip that red and now they get into the rest of the split, and then on into your front stretch and through into your checkers. So that is your start. Okay. If you have any questions on the starting or anything like that, feel free to drop comments in your questions in the comments. So now that's going to do it for our starts here. And then we're going to kind of finalize and go over the last little bit of the splits here. All right, now we're in the last little bit of the splits. So, the splits, section of course, they're generally spanning in 4 or 6 buoys in length, and that could change depending on your race director, how they want to design the course. A lot of the times you'll see 4 buoy splits in length. However, it's becoming more frequent to see 6 buoy splits in lengths, which it's no big deal. It just makes it a little longer, a little bit more grueling, and a little more challenging. Makes it more exciting for you to learn, I should say. So, if you didn't notice, the zigzags, yes, splits are always in a zigzag fashion. You always zig into the course to get the first buoy for the splits, and then you zag out, and it's a back and forth thing. So, but unlike your starts, you approach the splits in a different manner. So, like on your starts, you come off the gate and you do a whole sweep, and then you have to take a designated lane for wherever you started at the gate. But once you complete the start and you actually get into your laps, now the decision buoy is active, but your approach to it is going to be a little bit different. In most case scenarios, when you're coming to the sweep to the decision buoy, you're coming from a different direction. So let's put on this diagram here real quick. So as you can see here, there's a line that kind of pretty much comes straight from the right. Now, that's because you're coming from your backstretch. Now, you're not going through the sweep, your backstretch. Generally, your backstretch, it's a nice long stretch off the back. It's maybe kind of cantered a little bit, but it makes it so that you approach this sweep and you're only going to maybe utilize half of it when you're in race. So counting 4 buoys when you're in your lap isn't going to work, because most time you're not going to use all 4 of them. You'll use 3, 2. Most of the time it's 2. But either way, when you get to that last buoy in sequence, it's that double buoy. It's the color indicated by the turn, so red for a left, yellow for a right, plus another buoy that's different so that it stands out to you. And this is where you make your decision. As you can see, you come around the decision buoy, and now you have to make a decision. Now, let me bring something up that will make it easier for you. When we design the courses, when you come around the decision buoy to head back into the course, the minute you round that decision buoy, both of those first buoys leading into the entrance should be pretty much in your immediate eyesight, so you can see them both and immediately make your decision. So, and then as you can see from this diagram, you could see both of them the minute you make the turn, and you can make your decision when you get there. And then you just follow it through. You do a zigzag pattern, and you come out on your side of the merge. Now keep in mind, you're not going to skip any buoys here. You only skip that one buoy on the start, and that's the only time you're ever going to skip a buoy intentionally, or at least I would hope. But then we'd have to penalize you. Now you got to worry about making it up and losing more ground because you have to lose time to make it up, but we'll get to that later. Now, let's get on to the rest of the course. Now, I mean, honestly, the rest of the course it's all pretty much cutbacks. You'll have some sweeps here or there, but sorry. It is whatever the race director makes it. So the best information you're going to be able to utilize is what you've learned. Your color direction, your directional colors, red and yellow. They're going to dictate everything else on the course besides the splits. So as long as you know your colors, what directions they mean, the fact that not all turns are 90s, they could be the slightest turn to a hairpin, it'll all make it easier for you to navigate the course. So I hope this all helps. Now, before we wrap up the video, I want to give you a couple tips that could prove useful and a couple safety reminders. So, when you're on the course, try to plan ahead. Okay, don't directly just look in front of you. Yes, it's important to keep in mind what's in front of you, but also scan further down the course. Pay attention to where you are on the course, where the buoys are. Try to plan your approach, how you're going to attack the buoy, make your line, and go from there. The only time you should never not be paying attention to the course. The more knowledge you have of your surroundings, the better you will be when you're racing. Okay. This isn't necessary. However, I know a couple riders that have used this with great efficiency when having trouble remembering what your directional colors mean. So you can take some tape, some colored tape, red and yellow, and put them on your bars. You put them on your grips right there. So when you're coming into your turn, all you got to do is look down and, I'm coming up to a red buoy. Red is on my left grip. Okay, I know I need to make a left turn. So it's a very simple but effective trick that can help remember which way to go. Okay. Your equipment. Please wear equipment that stands out against the water. Dark colored equipment can not only make it difficult for myself and fellow course marshals to see downed riders, but it can be difficult for fellow riders to see them as well. And in the heat of the race, that could spell disaster. Keep it bright. Make sure you're noticeable. All right? And also, your equipment, make sure it meets required standards, the minimums. If you're unsure about the requirements, you could always look at your promoter's handbooks. They're going to have it in there. Or you could just head on over to the first video in the Beginner Racer series where I covered all that information right there for you. Well, this is going to be the end of the video. And with it, the Beginner Racer series. I hope all you found this information useful and will help you prepare to join the PWC racing world. I can't thank you all enough for watching the series, and I cannot wait to see you on the beach ready to race. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer to the best of my ability. Don't forget to like the channel, subscribe, share, do everything. Pass the word. Knowledge is power. The more information we could provide to our up and coming, our new racers, the easier it will be for them to learn. Thank you, everybody. Take care.